Hey everybody, this is Simplifying Algebraic Expressions and the Fruit of the Spirit. This is chapter 5, verses 22 and 23, which is probably our last section of section 1.1 in College Algebra second edition by OpenStax. So the math involved is to do with evaluating algebraic expressions, and this part is usually not very hard for people getting into college algebra. People already know what a constant is. They have some idea of what a variable is, and they usually would know what an expression is, but we'll talk more about that today. But I wanted to focus a little bit more on combining like terms. Again, they're not a super hard part, but they are a very important part of college algebra. So you want to go ahead and pause the video and read these two paragraphs, and then we will be doing problems kind of like these down here. So going back to Galatians chapter 5, you go back to verse 19, it says, "Evident now are the works of the flesh." And I want you to notice that works is plural, erga. That P right there means plural. Evident now are the works of the flesh, which are, and for some reason they transliterated estin as are, even though it's singular. And I'm not entirely sure why. Probably because of works was plural. So evident now are the works of the flesh, which are, and then it lists, I think, 15 different things. Sexual immorality in this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then it says, and things like these as to which I forewarned you. So there are 15 works of the flesh, but more also back in verse 19, starting there. And then in the more familiar part, because we've used it already this series, we have verse 22, but the fruit of the Spirit. And fruit is singular here. If I click it, right here is a plural one. Carpone is plural, and carpus is plural. So they do have fruit plural sometimes. The New Testament, you will know them by their fruits, plural. So it might be interesting that this is fruit singular, but the fruit of the Spirit is, and here they transliterated estin to is. In both cases, it's a singular word. English translation here thinks that is should go with fruit that's singular. 9 things we already have read before. So for the math part, I wanted to talk a little bit about variables. And sometimes in math, we say let, and then letter equals something. So let A be an expression of love, and the Greek word here is agape. Let B be an expression of joy, chara. Let C be an expression of peace, eirene. D be an expression of patience, macrothumia. And sometimes this upsilon right here sometimes gets transliterated into a Y when Latin somehow gets involved, like hypothesis. So E is a kindness expression and so on. And I made, instead of making self-control be I made it L because we have a lowercase I coming up in chapter 2 with I squared equals -1. And I wanted to keep that on my mind, and it would personally annoy me to put an I there a little bit. And then I didn't want to put a J because Python uses J for I instead. And then while I was at it, I didn't want to use K because K reminded me of a unit vector. So I decided to use L. So this is like a cursive L, which is an expression of self-control. So the math topic is algebraic expressions, simplifying them. And the example is the Spirit having expressions also. But then I went and said, and X is the potentially multifaceted collection of expressions in one day. So X is a variable, but sometimes it could just be an unknown quantity, and that isn't necessarily varying. And people don't always say that, but that's true. And it's not only just a variable sometimes. All right. The examples are someone acts in love twice and peace 3 times. So we have a compound expression, X, potentially compound expression, and they act in love twice. So equals A, that's love, right? Plus A plus peace 3 times. Peace is a C. plus C plus C plus C. Okay. Well, maybe you know this already, but A and A are like terms. So we can change that to X equals 2A, and 2 is also called a coefficient. And C plus C plus C are like terms plus 3C. Okay, so this is not equals to 5A. These are not like terms. These are terms, and they have a combination of variables and constants, or sometimes only one of those things. And they could be raised to powers, but they are separated by a plus or a minus. See the plus. So I'm just going to put this over here because some people mess this up. 2A plus 3C doesn't equal 5A or 5C, but 2A plus 3C does equals 1X, because an X is a collection of expressions in one day. All right, so we have two different ways to explain that day. We have A plus A plus C plus C plus C, and then we also have 2A plus 3C. And 2A plus 3C is called simplified. And then on day 2, that's potentially a problem because we've got X again that's a different day. So I'm going to put a subscript here. Sub means below, script means writing, to indicate that was day 1. And I'll put a subscript there for day 2. Okay. And they act in love, joy, and peace in the morning. So A plus B plus C, that's your morning. Then they do it again in the afternoon. Plus again. And sometimes we'll group them like this. If we look at the fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, and peace are connected at other times, and they might be a little group of 3. And then you may have 3 groups of 3, maybe. All right. So there are different ways to break down this, basically. So A plus B plus C plus A plus B plus C. So we could rewrite that as 2A plus 2B plus 2C. That would be simplified. And before we did that, we could even do 2 times A plus B plus C, like that. All right, so we're working on algebraic expressions, and we have 3 terms now. And this right side is all one expression, and actually the left side's an expression. And the whole thing now is an equation. So for your question down on the bottom, it might have something to do with someone acting this way. X3 equals 4G plus 2D, and then you just have to explain it. And have a great day.